Well, it's the end of the road for this one. It's succumbed to bloated capacitors on the motherboard, so I'm going to go ahead and strip this one for parts because I've got a use for quite a few of them, and this machine never really quite fitted the role it was intended for when it was originally purchased, so it came to me pretty cheaply and there's just no point putting any more money into it. So here we go. Okay, side panel comes off pretty easy. It's toolless. I've already stolen the heatsink out of this one. I put that into my 780 that I use as my daily computer because it's this one had a heat pipe cooler in it. I don't know whether that's a standard fit or it was an upgrade of some description, but that's already found a home somewhere else, I think. Yeah, I've already had the memory out of this as well, so I'm going to go ahead and strip this down as far as we can. Okay, I think we're just going to start by just quickly disconnecting everything and removing any wires that will come all the way out. Keep that. I do have an intended use for the floppy drive. I don't know if it's really visible on the camera or not, but this group of capacitors here is starting to bloat outwards. I did actually contemplate putting another board in this at one point, but I went on eBay. They're not as numerous as some of the other models, and literally the first board I looked at had the same capacitors blown out but worse than this one, so I don't know whether it's a common problem or I'm just unlucky based on two boards, but don't particularly have a use for this machine as is, but I do have a use for a lot of the parts, so that's why we're going down this route. Memory serves. The optical drive in this one is good. Now it's time to see if I can remember how to get the fans out. Okay, there's a clip just underneath there, and there's another clip right at the back there. Squeeze that this way, and that should allow you to move the fan forwards. Okay, here's just a closer look at that fan clip there. It needs to go inwards like that. It's a little bit difficult when you've got your hand inside the case because there isn't really a great deal of clearance. You're kind of working sort of inwards that way like that, and you're kind of almost locking it in more by pulling it, so it's best to sort of aim to kind of force it upwards and that way. That's the way I got it to release. Okay, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and recover the CPU and take the motherboard out of the case. That arm releases the CPU. You need to lay the case back down push the arm down, move it that way, lift it up, bracket comes out, and then you can recover the CPU. Motherboard is held in place by a series of Phillips screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, got the motherboard and the CPU recovered. I also took this little front panel board out of here. That's held in place by just a single Phillips screw there, and then it just kind of weasels out. Okay, next what we're going to do is go around the back of the case and remove the power supply and the plastic off the back. Okay, so there's 4 screws for the power supply, and I believe they also act to retain the rear bezel to the case. So, in fact, before I do that, let's remove the expansion slot covers. Okay, to release that from inside of the case, you just squeeze the tab in and it flips open like that. It is a little bit of a nuisance to kind of weasel it off the bracket there, but it will come. Okay, so I'm going to take the power supply out. The top part of the rear bezel comes loose pretty quickly. It is, however, held in place by a series of clips. There's one there, one there, there's one behind there, one there, one there. I think there's 3 on the other side, but if you get this side and the centre one's loose, it may just kind of lever off, which is what I'm hoping, because the access isn't so great back there to some of those clips. Okay, that came off fairly easily, really, not too many problems. It does answer another question as well. One of the parts I was hoping to recover was actually this rear panel, so that I can use it to repair another machine which is electrically functional but cosmetically in very poor condition. However, that's riveted on. Doesn't mean to say that that's impossible, but what I think I will do, because it's easier really, is I'll actually transfer the electrical parts into this housing rather than, you know, drilling out all the rivets and then having to re-rivet this panel and obviously drill first on the other case. So okay, I'm going to move ahead, try and take this top plastic off now. Not too sure how that's done. I will move forwards with that and I'll bring you back when I've got that figured out. Okay, haven't actually managed to get the top panel off yet, but have got the lower panel and the front grille off as well. The lower panel that was there, like so. There's 2 little points there that need to be just driven downwards slightly, and then that just slides off that way. 2 clips I referenced are actually installed there and there inside the case. I actually started with the grille, but clearly that is intended to come off before the grille. Grille's held on. It's 4 clips on each side, sort of along each edge. Some of them are very awkward to get at. You need a little screwdriver to do it, but it basically just pops off. Okay, so finally got that top panel off. There's actually a single screw that holds it on. That's actually at about this level at the back of the case there. It's the Phillips screw. You take that out and then so that's the hole for it. Those 2 points need to be just pushed through slightly, and then this pops forwards and off. Also worth to note that the name badge on the front is just held in with just a couple of little clips on the back there, so if you have the appropriate badge, it'd be pretty easy to give one of these a new identity if you so wish. that mechanism is working well, so that's going to stay in place as I'm actually going to reuse the base chassis. If you did want to take it out, you just need to unhook the spring there and then it moves downwards. Not entirely sure how the chassis intrusion switch is held in place, but can't feel any obvious clips on the outside of it, and there's no screw, so maybe that's just a friction fit upwards into the housing there. Yes, it is. Again, that can stay put. Let's have a look how we could disassemble this toolless mechanism. Okay, if you did want to disassemble the toolless mechanism, you have to unhook that spring there, and then I would imagine that a little bit of careful work with a screwdriver back there, you'd be able to separate the metal from the plastic, and then it would all be recoverable from the case. However, I'm not going any further because I can leave that mechanism in place, and in another video I'm going to be rebuilding a different OptiPlex into this housing. Right, really don't think there's too much else to add there. Just going to go ahead and remove some of this sticky tape residue from the case. It's about all there is to taking one of these apart. It's pretty straightforward now. I realise where the hidden screws and clips are, so I hope someone out there has found this useful. Bye now.